Welcome to today's lecture, where we're exploring the fascinating shifts in cohabitation, marriage, and divorce. These changes aren't just about numbers, they reflect deeper cultural, social, and economic forces shaping how we approach relationships today. We'll discuss the trends, their causes, and their impacts, both positive and negative, and dive into insights from leading sociologists. We are going to start by focusing on the trends in cohabitation. Cohabitation refers to two people living together in a romantic relationship without being married. It has become a defining feature of modern relationships, reflecting significant societal, cultural, and economic shifts. Let's first analyze the graph on your screen. It illustrates the percentage of people cohabiting across different age groups from 1996 to 2012. The 25 to 34 age group shows the most pronounced increase, growing from around 15% in 1996 to over 25% by 2012. This trend highlights how cohabitation has become the norm for young adults entering serious relationships. The 35 to 44 age group also demonstrates a notable rise, indicating that cohabitation is not limited to younger couples but is becoming a long-term alternative for those in their midlife. The data also reveals a rise among the 45 to 64 age group and even a slight increase for individuals aged 65 and above. This suggests a shift in societal attitudes across generations, including older adults who may be choosing cohabitation after previous marriages or as a way to maintain independence while enjoying companionship. For sociologists, it is not enough to identify the trends, they are interested in what has caused these trends. In the last 50 years, cohabitation has emerged as a popular relationship choice for several reasons. Sociologists like Bourgeois and N.I. Braulchon argue that cohabitation serves as a trial marriage, allowing couples to assess their suitability for long-term commitment while reducing the risk of divorce if they choose to marry later. Cohabitation is often viewed as a try before you buy approach to relationships. Many couples see living together as an opportunity to test their compatibility in a real-world setting. This trial phase allows them to navigate the challenges of sharing a home, managing finances, and balancing their individual needs, all of which are critical aspects of long-term partnerships. Bourgeois and N.I. Braulchon highlight that cohabitation serves as a form of pre-marriage preparation, reducing the likelihood of divorce for couples who later marry. It provides a safer space to evaluate the relationship without the legal and financial implications of divorce should the partnership not work out. Following the idea of cohabitation as a trial run for marriage, it's clear that societal attitudes toward marriage itself have undergone a profound transformation over recent decades. Marriage is no longer seen as the ultimate or inevitable goal of a romantic relationship. Instead, individuals increasingly prioritize personal happiness, emotional fulfillment, and career development, challenging traditional expectations. This shift reflects the broader acceptance of diverse relationship structures, including cohabitation, same-sex partnerships, and non-traditional family arrangements. The diminishing stigma surrounding living together outside of marriage has played a significant role in this change. Cohabitation is now widely viewed as a practical and socially acceptable choice for couples exploring compatibility, rather than a deviation from traditional norms. Feminist perspectives celebrate these changes, viewing them as a step toward greater autonomy and gender equality. Women, in particular, are no longer constrained by societal pressures to marry for financial security or social status. Instead, they have the freedom to define their relationships on their own terms, free from the historical expectations that marriage once imposed. This cultural shift highlights how changing attitudes toward marriage and cohabitation are reshaping the dynamics of modern relationships. Building on the discussion of changing attitudes toward marriage, another significant factor influencing modern relationship norms is secularization, the declining influence of religion in contemporary society. Traditionally, religious teachings placed a strong emphasis on the sanctity of marriage, viewing it as a moral and spiritual obligation. However, as religious adherence has waned, these expectations have lost much of their authority over people's personal choices. With fewer individuals feeling compelled to marry for religious or cultural reasons, cohabitation has gained prominence as a viable and appealing alternative. This shift aligns with the values of an increasingly secular society, where personal autonomy and flexibility are prioritized over adherence to traditional norms. Cohabitation offers couples the freedom to focus on compatibility, shared goals, and building a relationship at their own pace, without the pressures imposed by religious or cultural frameworks. In this way, secularization has not only reshaped the institution of marriage but also contributed to the normalization of diverse and dynamic relationship structures. Following the influence of secularization, economic pressures have become another significant factor driving the rise in cohabitation. In today's challenging financial climate, rising housing costs, stagnating wages, and the burden of student debt make cohabitation a practical and often necessary arrangement for many young couples. Sharing living expenses allows partners to save money and build financial stability, an option that may not be feasible if they lived separately or chose to marry, given the financial demands of setting up a household or planning a wedding. The expense of a wedding alone is a major deterrent. With the average UK wedding costing between £20,000 and £30,000, many couples find such costs out of reach, particularly when weighed against long-term priorities like saving for a home, managing student debt, or achieving career stability. This is especially true for younger generations, who face unique economic challenges compared to previous ones, such as precarious job markets and difficulty accessing affordable housing. Cohabitation provides a flexible and financially viable alternative, enabling couples to experience the benefits of a shared life without the financial strain that marriage may entail. Beyond practicality, it also allows them to focus on building a strong foundation for their relationship, free from the pressure of conforming to traditional marital timelines or economic expectations. In this way, economic pressures have not only normalized cohabitation but also positioned it as a practical solution for navigating the realities of modern life. The increasing prevalence of cohabitation has brought about profound impacts on individuals, families, and society as a whole. These impacts are both positive and negative, reflecting the complexity of this societal shift. Let's explore them in more detail. One of the key benefits of cohabitation is its potential to foster equality in relationships. Feminists argue that, compared to traditional marriage, cohabitation promotes a more balanced partnership. Without the historical expectations and gendered roles often associated with marriage, cohabiting couples are more likely to share responsibilities, from financial contributions to household tasks. This creates a sense of equity and mutual support that may not be as common in traditional marital arrangements. Another advantage is the way cohabitation acts as a trial phase for marriage. Sociologists Bourgeois and N.I. Braulchain highlight that this arrangement allows couples to assess their compatibility and address potential issues before making a lifelong commitment. This process can reduce divorce rates among couples who later decide to marry, as they've had the chance to navigate the challenges of living together beforehand. Cohabitation also offers flexibility and independence. It allows individuals to maintain autonomy while enjoying the benefits of a shared life. This can be particularly appealing to those who have experienced the constraints of traditional marital roles or who prioritize personal growth alongside their relationship. However, cohabitation is not without its challenges. Critics like Wilson and Stutchbury argue that it is inherently less stable than marriage. Cohabiting couples are statistically more likely to break up compared to their married counterparts, which can lead to emotional distress and financial strain for both partners. The rise of cohabitation also raises concerns about its impact on children. Research by Murphy suggests that children born to cohabiting couples may face disadvantages when compared to children born within married households. These challenges may include financial instability, less consistent parental involvement, and a higher likelihood of experiencing family breakdowns, which can have long-term emotional effects. Lastly, the shift toward cohabitation has sparked criticism from new right theorists, who view it as a threat to traditional family structures. They argue that the decline of marriage undermines the nuclear family, which they see as the foundation of societal stability. According to this perspective, cohabitation weakens traditional family values, potentially contributing to broader social instability. Marriage, long considered the cornerstone of family life, has undergone significant changes in recent decades. Traditionally defined as a legally recognized union between two people, marriage in the UK saw a significant legal reform in 2023. Individuals can no longer marry at 16 with parental permission. The minimum age has now been raised to 18. This change reflects a growing awareness of the need to protect young people from exploitation and coercion, ensuring that the decision to marry is made as an adult with full autonomy. Marriage itself takes many forms across different societies and cultures, highlighting its diversity as an institution. Monogamy remains the most common form, where two people commit exclusively to each other. In contrast, open marriages are consensual unions in which both partners agree to pursue external relationships while maintaining their marriage. Polygamous marriages are illegal in the UK and involve more than two individuals being legally married, with variations such as polygyny, where one man marries multiple women, and polyandry, where one woman marries multiple men. Arranged marriages, where families or matchmakers play a significant role in partner selection, are still practiced in many cultures, often with the mutual consent of the individuals involved. However, forced marriages, where one or both parties are coerced into the union, violate human rights and are widely condemned. The trends in marriage, as reflected in the graph, reveal a long-term decline in the general marriage rate, which measures the number of people marrying per 1,000 of the unmarried population aged 16 or over. Marriage rates in the UK have steadily decreased since the mid-20th century, reaching their lowest recorded point in 2020, with just over 213,000 ceremonies. This downward trend reflects broader societal changes, including the increasing prevalence of cohabitation as an alternative to marriage and shifting attitudes toward traditional family structures. Historically, marriage rates have fluctuated in response to social and economic conditions. The GMR peaked in the late 1940s as post-World War II optimism and stability encouraged couples to formalize their unions. However, the 1970s saw a sharp decline, coinciding with greater acceptance of divorce, changing gender roles, and a broader questioning of traditional social norms. In more recent decades, the decline has continued, influenced by economic uncertainty, the rising cost of weddings, and the prioritization of individual fulfillment over traditional commitments. While marriage rates continue to decline, the institution remains a significant and adaptable element of family life in the UK. The trends indicate that marriage is evolving, with individuals increasingly choosing cohabitation, alternative family structures, and diverse ways of forming relationships that suit their personal values and circumstances. There are several key factors help explain the decline in marriage rates, from changing societal expectations to economic pressures and shifts in cultural and religious values. One of the most significant changes is the shift in expectations people have of marriage. In the past, marriage was often viewed as a practical or social necessity, but today, individuals increasingly prioritize emotional fulfillment, personal happiness, and equality in their relationships. Sociologist Anthony Giddens describes this as the rise of pure relationships, where people stay together only if their expectations for intimacy and mutual satisfaction are met. As a result, fewer people rush into marriage unless they are certain the relationship meets these high standards. This change in attitudes has also made divorce and separation more socially acceptable. When people find themselves in unfulfilling marriages, they are more likely to end the relationship. This has contributed to the perception of marriage as a less stable or enduring institution, discouraging others from marrying out of fear that the relationship may not meet their emotional needs. For many, cohabitation has become a preferred alternative, offering emotional closeness and partnership without the legal and societal expectations of marriage. Research by Bojuan and N.I. Broilchain highlights that cohabitation is now seen as the new normal, especially among younger generations. Economic and practical factors also play a significant role in the decline of marriage. Rising living costs, student debt, and economic uncertainty have made marriage less feasible for many. The high cost of weddings and the financial challenges of securing stable housing and managing everyday expenses lead young people to delay marriage or avoid it altogether. For many, establishing financial independence and building a stable career take precedence over formalizing a relationship. This financial reality is particularly evident among younger generations, such as millennials, who face higher levels of student debt and stagnating wages compared to previous generations. Marriage, once seen as the foundation for building a life together, is now viewed by many as a capstone event, a milestone to celebrate only after achieving other goals like career progression or home ownership. For example, couples may choose to cohabit and pool resources to save for a home rather than spending money on a wedding. This makes cohabitation not only more practical but also a financially viable alternative to marriage. The trend toward delaying marriage further reflects these changing priorities. In 1972, the average age for first marriages was 28.8 for men and 26.2 for women. By 2012, this had risen to 36.4 for men and 34 for women, and the upward trend continues. This delay is driven by a focus on education, career development, and personal growth before committing to a lifelong partnership. Women, in particular, are increasingly pursuing higher education and career opportunities, challenging traditional gender roles that once prioritized marriage and family life at a younger age. Sociologists view this delay as part of a broader movement toward individualized decision-making. In a society that values self-fulfillment and personal achievement, individuals are choosing to establish their independence before taking on the responsibilities and compromises of marriage. Both men and women are now more likely to delay marriage until they feel financially and emotionally ready to commit fully. This shift reflects a broader cultural change in how people prioritize their lives and relationships. Secularization has also played a crucial role in the declining rates of marriage. With fewer people adhering to religious beliefs and practices, the societal pressure to marry, particularly within a traditional religious framework, has diminished. The decline of religious influence has led to a significant drop in religious wedding ceremonies, with civil ceremonies now making up the majority of weddings. This shift reflects a broader transformation where individual choice and personal values are prioritized over traditional norms. The rise of secular values has also reduced the stigma surrounding alternative family structures and lifestyles. Cohabitation, single parenthood, and same-sex relationships are now widely accepted, challenging the traditional view of marriage as the cornerstone of family life. Many couples now choose to live together, raise children, or build long-term partnerships without feeling the need to formalize their relationship through marriage. For younger generations, this reduced influence of religion has reshaped their view of marriage. Without the moral or spiritual imperatives that once encouraged people to marry, individuals increasingly question whether marriage is necessary for their happiness or fulfillment. For some, marriage may even seem outdated in a society that values diverse relationship choices and personal freedom. This questioning has led to more people delaying or foregoing marriage altogether. The decline in marriage has sparked debates about its positive and negative impacts on individuals, families, and society. While some view these changes as a sign of social progress, others see them as a cause for concern regarding societal stability. Feminists often highlight the positive aspects of the decline in traditional marriage. They argue that fewer women are now pressured to marry for financial or societal reasons, allowing them to pursue independent lives and prioritize their own happiness. Sociologist Stephanie Kuntz has emphasized that modern relationships, built on emotional fulfillment rather than obligation, create healthier dynamics where individuals are free to leave unfulfilling unions. Furthermore, the shift away from traditional marriage reflects greater acceptance of diverse relationship structures, such as same-sex partnerships and single parenthood, promoting inclusivity and challenging outdated societal norms. However, critics argue that the decline in marriage has significant negative implications. New right theorists, for example, suggest that fewer marriages erode traditional family values, which they see as essential for societal stability. They argue that marriage provides a structured environment for raising children and passing on moral values, and its decline contributes to the rise in single-parent families, which they associate with poorer outcomes for children in terms of education, behavior, and economic stability. Sociologist David Morgan has described this trend as marriage light, where cohabitation lacks the commitment and legal stability of marriage. He warns that this weaker commitment can undermine family structures, leaving individuals and children more vulnerable in times of crisis, such as separation or financial hardship. The decline in marriage also raises questions about intergenerational support and care. Traditional marriages often created strong, extended family networks that provided stability and support for children and the elderly. Critics argue that as marriage rates fall and family structures become more fluid, these networks may weaken, leaving some individuals more isolated, particularly in old age. Divorce, defined as the legal dissolution of a marriage, marks the official end of a marital relationship, allowing both partners the freedom to remarry. However, it is just one form of marital breakdown. Others include separation, where partners live apart but remain legally married. Empty shell marriages, where the couple stays together legally but lacks emotional or intimate connection. And annulments, which declare the marriage wasn't legal from the outset. Over the past century, divorce rates have risen significantly, reflecting major legal, social, and cultural changes. The first graph shows a steady increase in divorce rates, particularly after World War II, with a sharp peak in the 1970s following the 1969 Divorce Reform Act, which made divorce more accessible and allowed for no-fault divorces. Rates stabilized in the 1980s and 1990s, peaked again, and have shown a gradual decline in recent years. This recent fall could be attributed to fewer marriages overall and shifting social attitudes, such as couples cohabiting instead of marrying. The second graph highlights that around 40% of marriages now end in divorce, while the proportion ending due to the death of a spouse has steadily increased, reflecting longer life expectancies and the aging population. These trends suggest that attitudes towards marriage have evolved, with reduced stigma around divorce and a greater emphasis on personal happiness and fulfillment. While legal changes have played a significant role in enabling divorce, these figures also point to broader societal transformations, such as changing gender roles and expectations within relationships. The recent decline in divorce rates may also indicate stronger stability among those who choose to marry, suggesting that while marriage is less common, it may be more deliberate and enduring when it occurs. Changes in divorce laws have played a significant role in the rising divorce rates over the past century by making the process more accessible and less contentious. The most notable legal reform was the 1969 Divorce Reform Act, which introduced the concept of no-fault divorce. This allowed couples to end their marriage without needing to prove wrongdoing such as adultery or cruelty, making divorce simpler and less stigmatized. Further changes came with the 1985 Matrimonial and Family Proceedings Act, which reduced the waiting time for divorce, enabling couples to finalize their separation more quickly. In more recent years, the legalization of same-sex marriages in 2015 has also influenced divorce patterns, as it expanded access to marriage and, consequently, the possibility of divorce. Together, these legal changes reflect and reinforce broader shifts in societal attitudes, emphasizing individual freedom and personal happiness over the traditional view of marriage as a lifelong commitment, regardless of circumstances. The increasing social acceptance of divorce has significantly contributed to its rise, building on the foundation laid by changes in the law. Once heavily stigmatized, divorce was viewed as a failure and carried significant social shame, often discouraging couples from ending unhappy marriages. However, shifting societal attitudes have reframed divorce as a valid and even necessary solution for personal happiness and well-being. This change has reduced the fear of judgment and allowed individuals to prioritize their own needs over traditional expectations of lifelong marital commitment. Today, the emphasis on personal fulfillment, equality within relationships, and the reduced stigma around separation means that more people feel empowered to leave marriages that no longer serve them. These cultural shifts, combined with easier legal processes, have created an environment where divorce is seen not as a last resort, but as a practical and acceptable choice for many. The increased independence of women has been a key factor in the rising divorce rates, building on the growing social acceptance of divorce. Over the past century, women have made significant strides in education, employment, and financial autonomy, reducing their reliance on marriage for economic security. This empowerment has allowed women to leave unhappy or unequal relationships, where previously they may have felt trapped by financial dependence. The feminist movement and changes in gender roles have also reshaped expectations within marriages, with many women now unwilling to tolerate traditional inequalities. With greater access to resources such as childcare support, welfare benefits, and legal aid, women have the means to support themselves and their families outside of marriage. This shift has not only increased the number of women initiating divorce but has also highlighted the growing emphasis on equality, mutual respect, and personal happiness as essential components of modern relationships. Higher expectations of marriage have significantly contributed to rising divorce rates, as modern couples increasingly seek emotional fulfillment and mutual satisfaction in their relationships. Anthony Giddens highlights the concept of pure relationships, where partnerships are sustained only as long as both individuals find them rewarding. Unlike traditional marriages, which were often based on economic necessity or societal expectations, modern relationships are driven by emotional intimacy and personal growth. This shift means that when these higher expectations aren't met, whether due to lack of communication, infidelity, or personal incompatibility, divorce is often seen as an acceptable and necessary solution. The media has also played a role in shaping these expectations, frequently portraying idealized relationships filled with romance, passion, and happiness. Celebrity divorces and public discussions about the importance of personal happiness further normalize the idea of ending a marriage if it fails to meet these standards. For example, high-profile splits like those of celebrity couples often highlight the pursuit of personal fulfillment over traditional notions of staying together, for better or worse. These evolving expectations reflect broader cultural changes, where marriage is no longer just a practical institution but a pathway to self-realization and happiness. Economic and social pressures have also contributed to the rise in divorce rates, as financial difficulties and the demands of modern life place significant strain on marriages. Beck and Beck-Jernshim argue that the pressures of living in a risk society, where individuals face economic instability, job insecurity, and a relentless pursuit of success, create tensions within relationships. Financial difficulties, such as unemployment or rising living costs, often lead to arguments and erode the emotional connection between partners. Additionally, the demands of balancing work, childcare, and household responsibilities can create stress and conflict, especially when roles and expectations within the marriage are unequal. The pressure to maintain a certain standard of living, fueled by societal and media expectations, can also amplify dissatisfaction within relationships. For example, couples struggling with debt or housing issues may find their relationship under strain, leading to separation or divorce. These economic and social challenges have made it harder for many marriages to endure, especially when combined with the modern emphasis on personal happiness and fulfillment as essential components of a successful relationship. The rise of silver splitters, divorces among those aged 60 and over, has become a significant factor in the overall increase in divorce rates. This trend reflects a societal shift where personal happiness and fulfillment are prioritized, even after decades of marriage. Many older individuals, having raised children and reached retirement, find themselves re-evaluating their lives and choosing to end long-standing marriages that no longer meet their emotional needs. Increased life expectancy has also contributed, as people recognize they may have many active years ahead and seek to make the most of them. Financial independence, particularly among women, has given older individuals the means to leave unsatisfying relationships, while the reduced stigma surrounding divorce has made this decision more socially acceptable. For example, media portrayals of empowered older individuals starting new chapters in life have further normalized the idea of late-life divorce. The rising divorce rates have had a range of social impacts, both positive and negative, depending on the perspective taken. Feminists often view the increase as a sign of progress, arguing that it empowers women to leave unhappy or abusive marriages and pursue freedom and independence. For example, Bernards highlights that divorce can be less harmful to children than remaining in a household filled with conflict and tension, as it allows for a more peaceful environment post-separation. This perspective emphasizes that reducing marital conflict benefits both individuals and families, promoting emotional well-being and healthier relationships in the long term. On the other hand, critics such as the New Right argue that rising divorce rates undermine the traditional nuclear family, which they see as the cornerstone of a stable society. They suggest that the breakdown of marriages contributes to social issues like increased single-parent households, which they argue may struggle to provide the same level of economic and emotional support. Murphy highlights the challenges faced by children of divorced parents, including potential emotional difficulties and financial strain due to the division of household income. Similarly, Wilson and Stutchbury point out that high divorce rates can destabilize family structures, making it harder for children to develop consistent routines and relationships. These contrasting views underscore the complex consequences of divorce, reflecting broader debates about family, gender roles, and societal stability. In conclusion, the trends in cohabitation, marriage, and divorce reflect the profound social, cultural, and economic transformations of modern society. Cohabitation has emerged as a popular alternative to marriage, driven by shifting attitudes, financial considerations, and changing relationship priorities. Marriage itself has evolved, with declining rates and later ages at marriage highlighting the move towards more deliberate and egalitarian partnerships. Divorce rates, while influenced by legal reforms, social acceptance, and individual empowerment, reveal the growing emphasis on personal happiness and fulfillment in relationships. These trends demonstrate that family structures and relationships are not static but continually adapting to broader societal changes. As we move forward, understanding these shifts helps us better appreciate the complexities of modern relationships and the diverse ways people navigate family life in a changing world.